Hello everybody, Steffi here from The Makers, and today is the 1st of November 2021, and on the 1st of each month it's time to unwrap our subscription boxes and show you what's inside. Well, with the exception of our surprise box, of course, because that one we're keeping a little bit closer to our chest. However, there is a group on Facebook called the Surprise Box Spoiler Group. If you wanted to have a sneak peek, there's already a little video that shows you exactly what's inside in case you need a little bit of convincing to subscribe or I don't know, buy it for somebody else. It is coming up for Christmas after all. And the projects that you can see here behind me, I've got the snowy owl in our maker's box, and we've got the Christmas tree fairy for our fairy box. And the way that I will do it today is I will talk about the surprise box first, then I'm going to do a little demo on the Christmas tree fairy, and then the last 15 minutes I'm going to let Sophie talk to you about the snowy owl, and obviously before that I show you what's inside the box. So that's the plan for today. Alicia is here today to support me, so if you've got any questions and you're watching live, then pop it into the comments, and I try and answer them. And we will restream this on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. on Facebook, but it will be unmanned. So for those who want to watch it again, or maybe on Facebook, then you can do so on our page, The Makers, at 7 p.m. Let's just say hello to a few people who I know are already here. Gina is there. Hi, Gina. Hi, Karen. Awkward Prawn is there. Hi, Catherine. And Marion is there, and Laura, and Pauline, and Diane Whitehouse. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say surname. Sorry, there are probably lots of you out there. I take it all back. It's just there are so many Dianes, so I want to say some of the surnames, but anyway, forget that one. And Ava is there as well. Now, let's have a look at the snowy owl. For those of you who've made the barn owl with us in January, the snowy owl will fit into that collection. It is a much simpler project. So if you, by the way, there's lots of work going on outside, so ignore the tractor noises. If you found the barn owl challenging, then the snowy owl will definitely be a lot simpler. There's a new technique in there which makes the cabochon eyes, and I know this one was a bit cross-eyed, but yeah, yours doesn't have to be cross-eyed. It's quite a soft make, so don't felt it down massively hard. Everything's needle felted, including the beak and the feet as well. So it's quite a soft, large project, and really suitable for total beginners. The Christmas tree fairy, one of my favorites, but then I would say that. She's displayed in this beautiful frame, which really makes the fairies come out lovely. And what's special about her is that she has got a little glass bauble that's filled with little shiny stars. She's got a silver wand and a little crown on her head there as well. And I will go through the Christmas tree fairy first. So let's have a look inside the box. Our fairy boxes, as usual, come in a flat A5 fit through the letterbox packaging, and they have everything in there to make the project, including a fine needle and a little eco wool mat. And let's go to the overhead camera and let's have a look inside. Okay, so there she is. She's really beautiful, and let's have a look what you get inside. Now the box is very full, so we have to extra sellotape it up, not just with our sticker, but we have to put a little bit of extra sellotape on there as well to make sure that it doesn't just pop open. And with all of our fairy boxes and subscription boxes, you get a newsletter. So with this one, and on the back of the newsletter, it always tells you how you're going to manage your subscription box. Now, the fairy box is the only slightly different subscription box in that you don't have to subscribe. You can also just buy them as a one-off. If you buy them as a one-off, you won't be saving 20% on the fairy box. But if you do subscribe, then you do save 20%. Now, with all of our subscription boxes, you can also skip boxes. You don't have to have every single one if you don't want every single one. And you can change the payment date as well. So it's entirely up to you. Full color step-by-step instructions, all there, with the tape measure on the left hand side so you don't have to get yours out, especially if you're not an inches person. And what I will be demoing today is I will show you how to make a beautiful skirt. So I've got a little fairy ready at this stage there to take over from there, which is basically this page here, and taking you all the way to making her beautiful hair, because there's a little bit of a technique in there. But let's have a look what you actually get in the box. Oh, got a little surprise in there this time. Little angel, chocolate angel, yum yum. So you get your silver metal wings. They're really, really light, so it's not going to weigh the fairy down. She can fly away with these. And you also get, in terms of accessories, let's have a look what's in there. You get your little bauble, which is a glass bauble filled with little shimmery stars, and that you hang through with you get a little silver thread, silky thread in there. You can hang that and let the fairy hold it. She's got a tiny little crown here, tiny little crown that will fit on her head. Really lovely. And then you get her silver wand, and she can grant you any wish you want. Little sparkly wand in there that fits through her hand. Get your sparkly thread. You get your fine felting needle, which is in here. The wings, as I said. And then you've got your eco wool mat that you can use for the fairies. Those of you who are getting a fairy box, you must have piles of these already, but you can put them on top of each other. I use them to keep my needles safe, and yes, and so on. So you have got in here the color for the face, arms and legs. You've got in here the color for the body, which is our rainbow drops. It's the white rainbow drops with little not sparkly, but with little colorful cotton spots in there. And then you have got here a really silky white bamboo fiber. It's super lustrous, super soft, and lends itself really nicely for a very festive dress. So I'm going to take that out. You also have in there our sparkly stuff. Now that gets mixed into the skirt and gives her an extra little bit of sparkle and shimmer. And then you've also got her hair in there as well, which is a lovely golden colored corridor top. And these, believe it or not, are for her eyes and her mouth. You'll have loads left over, because obviously there is and I'm just gonna literally take a tiny wisp, which will be enough for eyes and mouth. So you don't need very much, and the rest I'm keeping in the box, because the rest is already in the fairy, and that can go back. So the wing I have attached already onto the other one as well. Let's have a quick look on the big camera, and then we'll go on to the small one for a little bit of demonstration. So I have prepared my fairy as far as this, which is basically she's in her underwear. She's decent, but in her underwear. So she's got, I haven't even bent her feet in yet. Obviously you bend her little toes in. I haven't done that yet. I haven't bent her arms yet. You can do all of this later, because a lot of the time I've actually got to probably bend her arms up and out of the way so I can get to her waist to fasten the skirt on. So that's the little fairy at the moment without any clothes on. And let's have a little look what people are saying. Oh, we've got other people joining. There's Diana from all the way from the Isle of Mull, and Claire is there. Claire, Carol is there. Oh, Vandermeer is there. Hello, and Jane is there. Hello, Jane. You'll love this one. I know you will. You'll all love it, but yeah. Let's have a look, and Michelle is there as well. Still got lots of boxes to catch up on due to being in out of hospital, but love that owl. Well, you've got lots of time, lots of crafty time coming up, lots of dark and cold evenings where you probably need to sit at a source of heat and get all crafty and keep your fingers busy. So I'm going to the part in the page where the skirt is attached, and I'll try and follow this properly. So the skirt, you split in half both the strand of soft white bamboo fiber tops, which is this one here. Split that in half. And take 1/2 of each and the sparkly stuff. So I've got 1/2 here and 1/2 of the sparkly stuff as well. So half and half, there we go. And then you lay both, so then you take 1/2 and you lay both fibers on top of each other, which I have just done already, and they so they run in the same direction. Mix them together by teasing the whole strand apart, allow the fibers to slither away. Now, I don't know how big your hands are and your fingers, but I always struggle to actually mix a lot of this all in one go. So you could mix it in little batches. So split that in half again. I've got them on top of each other, and what you're doing is you're teasing them apart and laying them on top of each other again. And this is like by magic, you're getting this really beautiful, sparkly, and at the same really fine, almost sort of silky looking dress. And we are using bamboo fiber, which is very similar to silk, but obviously silk has always, when you use silk, you always know that the silkworms have died in the process of making it. So we try and use little, if at all, of it. So you keep mixing it until you get a really lovely sort of sparkly mix, and you've got plenty of wool in there to make her dress. So you can see I'm always mixing it, laying the fibers in the same direction again, to make sure that I maintain the fibers running in the same direction. If some of them go a little bit off the piece here, then just lay them out again, and you can always adjust it by just mixing this. So I find this is enough for me to mix into this beautiful silky mix here. And so you're going to start at the back of the fairy, and I'm going to do that. I've already decided that's her front and that's her back. And now you're going to fold the top wispy end in to create a neat edge at the waistline. So this is the top bit here, and I'm going to fold that in. You could also fold that end in if that's a little bit more messy. Fold it in half. There, not in half, but fold it in. You're not folding this in half, so that you've got a nice neat edge now here at the top. And now you lay this down onto her body. This is where you've probably got to bend the arms out of the way, like so, and felt the fibers in at the top. It's another reason to use manageable quantities, because you have to catch every single folded bit of the fiber, because if you don't catch it, it will come off, it will become loose. So you're felting this down. We're always very generous with our wool, so work with manageable quantities, whatever you can manage. There's nothing wrong by laying adding another layer over the top. So get this down. So she now has got her skirt here at the back, and I'm going to put another layer over the top to build up a little bit more bulk, because you're meant to have both halves in action here. So mixing a little bit more, and I'm repeating that process. In the instruction, it tells you to mix it all in one go, and you can. I just prefer to do it in 2 goes. Make sure you mix it nicely, because then it's a nice and even look. And then you fold that top half in, lay that down again exactly the same way you did before, and felt it down with the fine needle that comes in your needle felting fairy box, and felt that down as well, making sure you're going sort of around the sides and towards the front, so you're actually probably covering about 3/4 of the fairy. And whilst her dress is quite long at the moment, you can shorten it in a minute, so don't panic if you think it's too long. If of course, you could have also just folded the fibers in a little bit more, rather than folding them in at the top, maybe by 1 or 2 centimeters. You could have folded them in half, but for now, that's okay. I'm not too worried about this. So now you've got a fairy that has got a little gap of the skirt here at the front. And for this, you need to use the other half of your fiber tops. And I'm doing this again. I split it in half again to make my my front of the skirt in 2 parts, exactly how I've done it with the back. And then once you've mixed it nice and thoroughly, you are going to fold this in, putting that now down at the front and felting it in exactly the same way, making sure that it overlaps the back part of the skirt that's come around the front, and felting it into every single folded top of that strand. You need to make sure you catch them all, because if you don't catch them, they will actually then fall off, because that's the only fastening point that you've got here to fasten them on. So, and then to make her skirt a bit bigger, you can use the other bit that's part of her front skirt. It would have been absolutely fine if you mixed this all in one go. This is just to make it a little bit more manageable, especially if you've never made fairies before. There. And then felt this on as well. I'm always giving my fairies quite a high waist. I prefer it if they've sort of got their skirt starting just under their arms. Gives them a less of a long body, and kind of, I think it looks nicer. But if you want for her to have a lower waist, you can do that too, of course. Go all the way around. Now you should have a nice even dress on her. You can't see her feet at the moment, so what you can do now is you can make the skirt stick out a little bit more, so it's not hanging down. You might like it hanging down, but if you don't, then open it up so you now have, you see her literally upside down with her legs sticking out, and open it up nicely, and then you can use your felting needle and stab into the area here. That will shorten the skirt a little bit as well, and it will just make sure that it's fastened on properly, but it will also make the skirt stick out a little bit by the side, more like a tutu. So once you've done that, you then have the option to shorten the skirt or leave it as it is. So don't do anything with the length of the skirt until you've finished this particular stage. So you're just establishing, making that skirt fasten, stay on even better, stabbing it in. Remember, there's a wire inside, so don't go too hard with your needle into the body, because you might just hit really hard onto the wire, and that will bend and then probably break your needle. So be careful with that. It's another opportunity to catch any of those bent fibers in case you've missed them earlier, and just go nicely around, all the way around, evening that out, and then let it come down again. It's quite sort of delicate working with this, but you can see now her skirts become really beautifully puffed out, and so you can leave it at that length, or you can if you need to make it puffed out at other places, you can repeat the process. Just stab into it so that you stab underneath, and then turn it over and have a look if it's worked. There you go. So she's got a beautiful like floaty, wispy, fairy dress now. Now to make it shorter, you can either cut it and then tease the ends out again, which is probably what I would suggest to do that. If you want to shorten it, and I'll show you how to do that, you just take you can either cut into it already, like a hairdresser does when you get your hair cut, and sometimes they don't go in a straight line. They just sort of cut in at an angle. The front is actually quite okay. It's more the back. Just cut into it, pull the take the fibers out for now. And the danger is that you cut now lots and lots, and then you have to go shorter and shorter as you make your way around. Once you've cut it and you're happy with the length, then you can sort of tease the fibers out a little bit again, just to make them jaggedy again, or unless you like it really straight. So there you go. She's I absolutely love this mix of the bamboo fiber and the sparkly stuff on her, and I just show them to her as well. It's really hard to actually almost, you know, this now you know why she's so it is such a brilliant white, so sparkly and so shiny that it's almost impossible to capture it in the camera. So she almost looks a little bit ethereal when you take a photo of her, but that is basically her beautiful dress that you can give her by using these two fibers. And the next thing I'm going to show you is how to make her hair, because that's a special technique as well that we haven't used before. So I'm going to show you that as well. And for that, I'm going to the overview camera again. Okay, so she's got her beautiful skirt on now. Again, you can make this a lot shorter depending what you want to do with your fairy, if she's meant to have a really short skirt or not. And then this is the hair. Now you can use all of this, but it does look rather a lot, I will be honest. So maybe you might have to shorten it a little bit, especially as it's meant to fit into the palm, and it's definitely going further than that. So what I would do is I would just tease a little bit off. Remember, when you're trying to separate wool tops, do it in counterintuitive. So you're not actually pulling very hard. You have to let the fibers slither away very gently, because you're not actually tearing them. You're allowing them to slither away. So make that a little bit shorter. Might even need to be shortened a little bit more. All of this will become hair. So if you can see how long it is once it's fastened on top of the head, it will be quite long still by her side. So once you've got the right length, you twist the strand in the middle twice. So this is the middle here, and now I'm going to twist it once and twice. So I've got a little, almost like a little moustache with a double twist in the center here. Got some white fibers on there as well. I might have to turn my mat around because it's very sparkly and white. So my twist stays in the middle, and now you are going to place that twist onto the top of the fairy's head. Can you see how that is instantly creating sort of a quite fancy hairdo right here on top? And now all you're going to do is you're going to start by felting the wool on, so that you don't have to hold on to it anymore. It doesn't cover all of the back of her head yet, because I just need to get it onto her, felted onto her head, so that it doesn't like come off. Allow that keep that twist there, because that is part of her fancy hairdo. And once you felted it on, make sure it falls into the face nicely, because then she has this beautiful sort of little face looking out of it. Then you turn her over and look what's happening at the back. And you can now, let's get these arms out of the way. And now you can sort of arrange it so that it's falling over the back of her head. Now you're going to put the wings into the middle there. So don't have the hair completely come together at the back, because the wings need to fit in between those two golden strands of hair. But you can felt that on now, and she's got these beautiful strands of hair falling down on her back and around her side. And the front still looks like a special hair style. It's a really easy way to fasten hair on. I'm not stabbing too close to the edge of that twist, because I want it to be nice and soft, framing her face. And then whilst we're at it, we might as well give her some eyes. So for this, you've got this huge amount of wool in there. All you need tiny amounts, just a tiny little blue, few wisps, and it's a really bright blue that you're turning into eyes, but just making tiny little blue spot. Actually, I think I've lost my red for her mouth. Might have to get another one out of the box. It must have been swept away somewhere. Put the other one in. Really go delicate with eyes and mouths. It's better to have them tiny and sort of like quite quite small features than going overboard with it, and then you have a sort of like a really overly done up face looking at you, which is not everybody's cup of tea. Right, just a tiny wisp of pink from the box, I don't know what happened to that pink wisp. It's probably attached to me somewhere. And then with a mouse, you do exactly the same thing. Might even be too much. So you will definitely have lots of blue and pink wool left over, because if you used all of this, you'll cover her whole face with it. And then just give her a tiny little mouth, in the same way as you've done the eyes. And you use your felting needle that comes in your fairy box for that. It's a little fiber caught in her face. And there you go. You've got your tiny little face looking at you now, and she's all done. And the rest are just accessories. And the way that you attach the wings to her, I've got another one here with a slightly shorter skirt, is that you sew the wings on. And then when you've sewn the wings on, you double up your thread. You go from the wings. So if I pull the wings, it's coming out of the top of her head. So that this will hold the wings on, because you're going to have the fairy hanging up on there. And then the tiny little crown, you can thread through your thread that you're hanging, so that will already help it to stay in the middle. But obviously you will be having to you will have to add glue to it. So just take a clear drying glue, whatever you've got handy, add a little bit onto the top of her head there, and then allow the crown to sit on it so that it has chance to dry. There, it doesn't look very pretty right now, but it will be absolutely fine. And then to accessorize her, you thread up the bauble. It's got quite a big eye there, and let her hold it with hanging off the thread. And then her little silver wand, you can find the gap where the wire with a hand is, and let that sort of let that be where the wand is going to be held on. Again, you can add a tiny dab of glue if you want. Depends how tightly you've twisted that wire shut. But that should be all that she needs to hold onto the wand. And as I say, fasten it on with a little bit of glue, and she's lost her crown. So you need to keep her in a position where that crown has actually got chance to get fastened onto her head. And that is all there is to the little Christmas tree fairy. She's highly accessorized with these beautiful wings and the little crown. And I can't get that to go through there anymore now. Come on. So this box makes one Christmas fairy, one Christmas tree fairy, I should say, and she definitely doesn't want competition anyway. So there you go. It's a really lovely, beautiful, delicate make. I can see her being an heirloom that comes out every Christmas. She's like a little, almost like a little fairy godmother as well. So that's all there is to tell you about the Christmas tree fairy, and I hope you have lots of fun making her, as much fun as I've had designing her. And yeah, that's that. Okay, let's put all of this away. Put the fairies away. And if anybody wants to display the fairies as we have done, go and find, I think they're called memory shadow boxes. That is what they're called. We were thinking of stocking them, but I think they're in high demand at the moment. We've struggled actually to find them ourselves, so we're just using what we have found for our own purposes at the moment. But that is basically what they're called. It's a shadow memory box, and we take the glass out. We don't want no fairy should be behind the glass. Right, so let's move on to the surprise box. So the surprise box is themed Gingerbread House. That is probably comes sort of automatically with an image in your mind, and it might be nice and warming colors. Yeah, what are you thinking of? You're probably hitting the spot straight away, whatever you're thinking of. Gingerbread colors, basically, and warm Christmassy colors. So that's basically what you probably find in there. But I'm not going to show you exactly what you find in there, but you can see it already what's in there by going onto by asking to join our Facebook group called the Surprise Box Spoiler Group, and there I have unwrapped the whole box and gone into detail of what's inside. But it doesn't stop me having a look inside now to remind myself what's in there. It is actually packaged in sort of quite nice Christmassy feel paper. That's how far I'm going. And as always, you get a little newsletter in there as well, and on the other side it gives you a write-up on the 6 items that you find in there. It's always 6 items, and they are not projects that where there are instructions together with it. You basically, it's your imagination, and wow guys, you do have an imagination. I absolutely love it. So you are getting in this box, I will give it away. What you're getting, you will get 1, 2, 3, 4 fibers. So they come in different shapes and disguises. You're getting one other thing that's made entirely from wool, and something else that's made from not wool at all. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say. And it is some of it is super soft, some of it is super colorful, some of it is super strong, and some of it is super sweet. So I think I'll leave you with that little bit of intrigue to see if that whets your appetite to get the surprise box. And our surprise boxes have exactly the same as all of our subscription boxes, where you can skip boxes, you can get them at different times of the month if you want to change the payment terms and times. And with a lot of the surprise boxes, I think currently we've got a lucky dip on. So if you've missed some of the past boxes and you're really, really totally happy with getting a surprise, not just with a box, but there you can have a lucky dip of up to 3 boxes, and they're usually reduced. But this one is the November box 2021, and it's called Gingerbread House. Right, I'm going to have a little check-in with everybody here. Let's see. Gosh, I've got to go scroll back a lot. Oh, Sarah says she's finally made a live broadcast. I'm normally at work. Well done. Doesn't stop everybody being at work and making a live stream. But yeah. Oh dear. Okay, I've got to, I don't know how far back I need to go. Yes, so the owl is very big. It's very light. It's softly felted, but I think the main feature of the owl are the eyes, and that's a new technique which Sophie will talk about as her pre-recorded tutorial shortly. Oh, Jane says she forgot that it was unwrapping day today. It's the first, Jane. It's the first. How can you forget the first? And Vampire Venom says she still got to make last month's boxes, was busy with Halloween. Well, we all have been busy with Halloween. I've seen some fantastic pumpkins, fantastic witches, fantastic ghosts, fantastic other gruesome makes. So well done. And then you've got to put it all away. But you get it out next year again, so that's all good. Susan says she's late, but she's gonna she will rewatch it later. Yes, it is a bit undignified for the fairy to have her skirt lifted, turned upside down, and then stabbed into the base of the skirt. Like this tip for puffy skirts, said awkward prawn. Diana says that skirt is really lovely. Susan says that this is just adorable. I'm seriously becoming overrun by fairies in my craft room. I can't get enough of them and make freestyle ones too. Thank you, Steffi, for introducing me to fairies. And I'm telling you now, if you had them all displayed in these beautiful frames, they look absolutely amazing on your wall, and it really does sort of put them into a frame. Really good. Diana says useful hairstyle method, excellent. And it does make all the difference. You're right, Alicia, just twisting it twice, that it gives her that sort of like almost folded look at the top. Best face ever, says Diana. And bauble. Got it. It's like the Good Witch in the Wizard of Oz. It had been bugging me. Oh, what is the hairstyle? I don't know who the Good Witch in the Wizard of Oz is. I have to ask my children. Finished debugging. Need to sort and post leftover keyrings and bookmarks for sale later. Oh, some of you are busy already, leading up to Christmas. I'm not good. I didn't show you anything by accident. I was very, very, very conscientious of that. Okay, so Gina said she missed the end of the fairy because I had to go and get the washing in as the sun has gone and more rain moving. I haven't had washing out for ages. It would never dry, I promise you. Right, I'm going to have a look inside the maker's box now. And then what I will do is I will just leave you with Sophie till the end of the video. So I will say goodbye before that. Right, let's go overhead before I do this and have a look inside. So this month, November, it's actually number 54, the large snowy owl. Again, what I haven't mentioned yet is that with our subscription boxes, you are also be automatically a member of our sub club, and the sub club is what have you got in November? So featured in November sub club, Makers Books, you get 20% off on all our Makers Books. That is the Making Simple Needle Felts, that's the Making Needle Felted Animals, and the Soft Dolls book. All Shimmer New Zealand Merino bats, and then selected decorations and accessories, plus the fiber of the month, and the product of the month, which are the fiber and product of the month is the deep red variegated, the deep red fox variegated, and the skis, the wooden skis and poles. So get your hands onto that. And here we go, the large snowy owl. It's an ideal project for beginners with loads of techniques, a fun big project to get your teeth into, which comes together quickly. You will also use a new technique, cabochon eyes, that will really bring your owl to life. And there we go. That's the introduction. So what you get in here is you get the eye discs, and you get your template, and so that is half of the trick given away, that you're actually using the eye discs to make the cabochon eyes. And I will let Sophie talk about this in her pre-recorded live stream. So small details by putting a little bit of the black onto the wings. The wings are almost like a sleeve that gets put around the whole of the back of the owl, and that's all the wool you get in there. It's a lot of white, very little black, and here are the eyes for you to use in this packaging. Like I said, Sophie will show you that in a jiffy when she has the tutorial that comes with it. So it's an owl in the box. It's a continuation of the barn owl. If you have got the barn owl already, you may want to add the snowy owl to it. And the barn owl we are still selling as a pack as well. So it is at the moment out of stock, but it will come back into stock. We just need to pack a few more. That's the only reason. We have been rather busy with all kinds of things, making and so on. But I will leave you now with the tutorial on how to do the cabochon eyes, and I will say goodbye for now. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is a pre-recorded tutorial of how to make the seal. I hope you will join me, even though I'm not here for real, but Alicia will be there, and there is a giveaway. Our unwrapping, there is usually no giveaway, but this particular unwrapping of the November boxes 2021 will be repeated on Sunday at 7 p.m. on our Facebook page, which you can find us, The Makers, is at themakers.co.uk, and that's our Facebook handle, and on Instagram and Twitter we're just at The Makers. So if you don't know about our Everyone a Maker group yet, then do come and find the group and ask to join. We would love to see what you're making from our ideas and products, and it's a place where you can ask questions about our products as well, and you can even sell our products there. If you've got a surplus of something, we much rather know that it goes to a loving home in our Everyone a Maker family. And there was one other thing I wanted to say, which is, oh yes, I will be at the NEC as of Wednesday, setting up for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the Sunday show. I know some of you are coming, and I'm really excited to see you face to face because I haven't seen so many of you for so long. Some of you never. But rest assured, we will still be here on YouTube with our live streams throughout the whole of the winter, leading up to Christmas and beyond. And this week, it's an exciting week because the Advent projects are being posted out. And before you ask, they've sold out. So you can watch what we're making, but you can't. You can make along as long as you have the stuff, but you might have to source it yourself. And I do apologize, but we've already added extra into stock, and we just haven't got time to do any more. I think I will be without a job if I tell production to add any more in. So let's see what Sophie has to say about the snowy owl's eyes. And I love you, and I leave you all. Bye.
Hello, this is Sophie from The Makers, and I'm here today to show you how to use our cabochon eyes. These are lovely glass, almost like the glass pebbles you get, but they've got a really lovely smooth flat back. They come in different sizes. Just show you those. So we've got a few different sizes there, and they have a domed top or front and a flat back, and you can do different things with them. You can paint or put nail polish on the back of them. You can create like a black pupil in the middle and then use strokes of the colours going towards the outside to create all sorts of amazing eyes. Great for dragon eyes. You can also use, you can draw eyes, or you can print out eyes, or in the case of our Snowy Owl project, we've printed them for you. And I'm going to show you how to use those. So, we've got our Snowy Owl here, we've got one behind us, and also a sample, sort of, he's headless, well, he's bodiless actually. But you can see the eye, the glass of the eye just catches the light there and makes it look really realistic. So they're a really nice finishing touch for your owl. I'm covering up his other eye because we're about to put that one on and he looks a bit strange. So the cabochon eyes, obviously they're round before you put them, when you put them on. So you have to use eyelids to kind of create a slightly more natural finish to the eye. Otherwise it's the equivalent of kind of something that looks like that, which I think you can agree is pretty odd. So we have got, first of all, we're going to glue on, I've cut out the printed eye, and we're going to glue that to the back of the cabochon. So obviously choose the correct size cabochon for your project. We do mixed sizes if you're not sure what size you need, and just remember that part of the cabochon will be sort of covered by the eyelid, so you might want to use a size bigger rather than smaller. So I'm just going to cover my cabochon with the glue like that, and then put my little printed eye, obviously printed side, towards the cabochon. Now I think I might put a bit too much glue on there, so I'm just going to be careful. So I'm going to sort of wiggle the printed eye around to kind of cover it all in glue, any bits that I might have missed, and I'm going to try and remove some of that excess glue, and then just check it on the front that you haven't got any sort of big gaps or big air bubbles. If you've got a couple of little ones like that, that's not too bad, and you can just force them by pushing them towards the edge. You can force them out. I don't know if you can, they're probably too tiny for you to even see, so I wouldn't worry about them too much. There we go. So in an ideal world that glue would be left to dry now, but seeing as I'm an impatient crafter, I'm going to go ahead and put it into the head in a moment. So I'm just going to take my needles and just make sure I've got a nice deep flat hole. So you want the hole to have a flat surface about the size of your cabochon, so it sits nicely in there. Just going to make that a little bit bigger so it wasn't quite sitting flat. That's better. You see it's got that kind of surprised look without the eyelids. So I'm going to put a bit of glue in the bottom of that eye socket and then put the cabochon in. So if you have been patient and left your glue to dry, then well done you. And if you haven't, then you'll see that there's a kind of like a milky colour to the eye. That will disappear when the glue dries, but it does take a bit longer because you've got glue behind and glue in front, so it takes a while to dry. So we've got an owl who's very surprised on one side and a bit more normal looking on the other. So I'm going to show you how to create those eyelids now. So you're going to create something like this. Now obviously this looks like could be a closed eye for our owl, but what happens is you fold the sides down, and this is in order not to get lots of black fibres into the white of the eyelid. So we put a black stripe on first and then fold the eyelid in half. So we're going to take a little bit of our bleached white for the owl. Just going to make it into kind of a nice neat pile, and then I'm going to felt all over that just quickly while it's flat. Just peel it off and give it a quick felt on the other side as well. So that begins that process, and it kind of locks the layers together, ready for the next step. So I'm going to take a little bit of the black or dark fibres and just teasing them into a thin line. You don't need very much at all. And then I'm just going to roll them back and forth between my fingers and thumbs to make a really thin line. And it only needs to be about 4 centimeters long when it's finished. I'm going to lay that on and start felting from the middle towards the edge, because as you see the fibres kind of suck inwards as you felt. Oops. And back the other way. And if you've got excess fibres, just twizzle them around your needle and stab them in. Twizzle them around, stab them in. So there I've got my black line and it's fixed onto the white of the eyelid. And then I'm going to fold that in half, and you get that black line really neatly on the top of the eyelid there, and all those sort of wayward fibres are trapped in the middle of those two white bits, rather than poking down into the white, which would be what would happen if you did this step and then put the black on. So I've folded it in half. Felt all over, and you can go from the other side as well. Decide which side you want to be the front, and then when you're felting on the other side to the front, you're just going to tap it very, very gently, so you're just pushing those fibres in a little bit to decrease the width of the felt. So I've got one. I'm going to do the same with this one, and try and get it quite flat. Otherwise it will look like he's had a heavy night out catching mice till the early hours, which I guess that's what they do every night. But he'll look like he's got quite kind of puffy eyelids if you don't felt it flat enough. These 3 needle tools with a very fine twisted needle, I use them for everything. They're brilliant for things like this, making a really nice fine surface. Okay, so we've got our 2 eyelids, which will go like that with the black lines in the middle. We just want to kind of make them slightly more rounded, so I'm just pulling them a little bit more rounded, and the same with the top one. So they've got a bit more of a shape to them before I put them on, and you can carry on shaping them after you put them on as well. Think about what kind of expression you want your owl to have. If they've got sort of very angled lines like that, they look quite angry. If you want him to look a bit more friendly, or her to look a bit more friendly, then think about where you're putting the eyebrows and maybe have them a little bit more rounded on the top. So I'll just lay these on. If you're doing this at home, it's best to do the same steps on each eye before you move on to the next step. That helps to get them symmetrical. But for the purposes of this, I've done one eye first, and now I've made hard work for myself trying to get the other one to match. So I'm going to lay on my lower eyelid. You can stretch these a little bit as well. They've got a bit of give in them. And what you're aiming for is to have sort of the corners of the eyes, one here and one here. So one sort of in towards the beak and the other one opposite. And then just gently felting on your eyelid. You can just sort of tack it in place first of all, so you don't have to really felt it down at the start, because that gives you a bit more leeway to create the shape you want. I'm going to get that top eyelid on. So you can see they're kind of tacked in place, and you can see they're where it's quite baggy above the eyelid, where it's not felted down properly. It looks quite odd, so I'm going to make sure that's felted down a bit further. Obviously, if you've got the cabochon in there, so you might need to be a bit careful not to hit that cabochon. And you can see, you can kind of, as you're poking the fibres down, you can run your needle along the side of the cabochon and kind of make the eye more open if you need to. So I'm kind of pushing those fibres backwards and downwards and upwards to kind of open out the eye a bit. And the other thing that this eye's got is a little bit of black fibres just in the corners of the eye. So this one hasn't got it, and you can see there's kind of like, almost looks like gaps. I'm just going to take two little wisps of black fibres, one for each corner, and just poke those in. So again, running your needle sort of down the side of the cabochon, so you get those fibres in nice and close. And again, you can twist those fibres around the needle, stab them into place. And these techniques would obviously work for any animal that you're doing with the cabochons. And you could choose how big or small you want those eyelids, and what kind of expression you want your owl to have, or your animal to have. So just looking at that owl, I think this eye looks a little bit wider and more black, so I'm just going to shrink that eye down by felting inwards. So I'm pushing those white fibres more towards the corner, more towards the centre of the eye, to kind of narrow that width. And if you just look at the space between like the pupil and the eyelids, I think this one is open a little bit more, so I'm just going to push those fibres down. And you can see this eye, again, the glue hasn't dried on this eye, so it looks a little bit more milky than this eye actually. I think I squeezed most of the glue out of the out of the middle of that eye when I was pushing the air bubbles out. But you can see how with a few more little tweaks and stabs of the needle you can get them much more symmetrical. And there you have it, your snowy owl with his light reflecting yellow eyes. Hope you enjoy using these cabochons. Thank you, bye bye.